Talking about issues in Social Security insurance just after this. Good morning, Rogers. Happy Monday. As always, we're here with Roy Rickstrew, the Disability Guru. Glad to have you back again.
Glad to be here. Thanks, Will.
Yeah, so what's going on? Big weekend?
No, didn't really do much of anything.
Well,
I guess I should say it's a big weekend. I'm a grandfather.
Hey!
So we had a grandbaby last Thursday. We got to go meet the grandbaby over the weekend.
Congratulations.
So
that's really awesome.
that's exciting. A little boy, Matthias. So
awesome.
It's exciting. My wife is just beside herself.
I'll bet. Yeah. Local or?
Yeah, they're here in Springfield.
Okay. So. Well, that's handy. I know it's more fun. You get to go see them quite a bit. So
it's funny, when people have newborns, a lot of times their sleep schedule gets messed up. And I don't have a newborn, but my sleep schedule keeps getting messed up. So the kids are texting and calling in the middle of the night with questions. And there's not been a lot of sleep over the weekend.
Yeah, you'll figure it out. It'll be okay. Just tell them. Yeah, it'll be all right. No big deal. Let's rub some dirt on it. Right?
There you go.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. Well, we're going to talk about SSI today. So tell us what that is.
Yeah, so it's a common question I get. Social Security runs a couple different programs. What most people encounter is either Social Security Disability, affectionately referred to as SSDI, or SSI. And the main difference between the two is the disability requires you to have been attached to the workforce and earned quarters throughout your lifetime.
Right.
And then also there's a recency test where you had to have essentially worked, 4-ish of the last 10 years. You have to be closely tied to the workforce. If you're not, and you don't have enough quarters to have a disability program to draw against, you draw out of the needs and income-based program, or SSI.
Okay. And so that's not tied to the work schedule. That's just you're a person in need who is disabled or not disabled.
No, you have to have the disability.
You do have to be disabled.
Yeah, you do have to be disabled. Yeah, and years ago, an old Social Security judge that I knew used to refer to it as the Housewives Program, and that's probably not fair at this point.
Sure.
But when it was first created, there was a lot of women who didn't work outside of the home. They worked inside the home, often very times very hard inside the home.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they didn't have work quarters because they weren't attached to employment that paid outside the home. And so when their husband left them, for example, there was nothing for them to draw out of the Social Security program. So they put in place the SSI program, where you still have to be disabled, but there are income and resource limits attached to the program, but you don't have to have that work experience to draw from.
And is this also the program that someone who's maybe developmentally disabled would draw from?
All children are SSI claimants because they don't have work history, and folks who obviously
if they're disabled.
Yeah, if they were disabled.
Sure, okay.
And of course, if they were disabled young, they haven't had the chance to be part of the workforce.
Right.
And so, if you have folks that are working in a sheltered workshop, for example, they may not have enough quarters, they'd still be SSI eligible. Or folks, that just had injuries from early adulthood on.
Right.
So, car accident at 18, you never had a chance.
So it kind of raises a question in my mind because I know that it's 40 quarters, right? That we're wanting for SSDI.
It depends on your age.
Okay.
Yeah, so some folks haven't had the opportunity to really earn 40 quarters. If you're 26, you haven't had 40 quarters to earn.
That's right, yeah.
And so as you get younger, it's less.
Okay.
A lot of times if you're really young, it's basically half of the quarters that were available to you to work.
I see.
Which is far from 40.
Yeah.
When we look at 40 quarters, we're usually looking at folks that are 60 plus.
And does the fact that you may have spent some time in higher education, does that affect that calculation? Because if you're in college for 4 years, you just lost 16 quarters. theoretically.
Unless you worked in college.
Unless you worked in college, I guess. Do part-time quarters count?
Yeah, so actually it's an earnings standard. $1,510, I think, is the standard for a quarter this year.
Okay.
And so if you make $1,510, then you earn credit for the quarter. If
In
you
that
make,
quarter.
Yeah, if you make $6,040, you earn credits for all four.
I see.
And so even if you earn those on January 5th, make $6,000, you've earned all 4 quarters for the year.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's really, really interesting. And so if somebody has some more questions about that, they maybe themselves or know somebody that they've been thinking they weren't available, something wasn't available, they call you, right?
Yeah, they can give me a call. One other thing I wanted to mention just real quick,
Absolutely.
Will, if I may. With SSI, there's this needs and income component, and they look at the income that's in the home. So if you work and make any money, it basically comes off of whatever grant you may be eligible for SSI. They count roughly half of your earnings. So if you are working, it reduces your grant. If you're getting help from friends or family, it reduces your grant. If you're living with somebody rent-free, it's income in kind, and it reduces your grant. And so it's real important that you talk to somebody who understands the SSI rules when you do file, because the way your household is structured, rental agreements with your parents, for example, may dictate if there's any money to draw or how much money you do draw.
And so if someone is looking at that, then what ability does someone have to structure that household? So, perhaps they've been living rent-free with their parents, but it's time to not do that anymore. Does Social Security look at that, and do they go, well, you were rent-free, so we're going to consider that you have that available? Or
if you get approved for SSI and you have income, you may start paying rent, and your income calculation changes. Social Security will adapt. The important thing there is that if you have an informal rental agreement with your parents or with friends or what have you, it needs to be formalized.
Sure.
And you don't necessarily have to go to an attorney like Will and have that written out, but it has to be certain that you owe the money.
Right.
It has to be some sort of a realistic repayment plan that you're going to pay it back. And you have to owe it. You have to owe it no matter what. So it can't be if he gets approved for SSI or when he gets approved, he's going to pay. It's my hand is out. I want my money. Where is it? It's a problem that I don't have it. It has to be that kind of rigidity, like we would see down the road at one of the banks.
Yeah. So you could write up that rental agreement the day before you're applying for SSI. Would that work?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I'm dealing with the whole. The in some areas of the law, of course, we're dealing with look back periods and all that, but.
Yeah, I think my good buddy Will here is going to tell me that Missouri is a handshake state.
So it is.
Even if you had that agreement that wasn't written, you can always come back and say, look, as of January 1st of 1999, that we moved him in, and he's way behind on his rent.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's good to know. And if you want to see Roy today, you can do that. You can give him a call at 417-882-1800, and he'll get you in today. Or visit that website that's in the title, and a lot of great information there. Thanks for coming in again, Roy. Appreciate it.
Good to see you, Will.
Yep.
Thanks, everybody.